In this morning's Eye on Money, we're going to focus on some new programs that could boost the credit scores of millions of Americans. Consumer demands for loans and credit cards was up, listen to this number, 39% in April. That's big compared to last year. It's now higher than pre-pandemic levels. And banks are gearing up to help more people borrow. Two initiatives, one for credit cards, another for mortgages, could help expand the number of Americans who qualify for the loans. CBS News business analyst, you remember her? Jill Schlesinger. Jill, because it's been over a year since you've been sitting at our table. We're so glad to see you in person.
I'm not in a little box anymore.
No, we're so glad to see you. Let's talk about the banks. We keep hearing that they're offering credit cards to people who don't have credit, don't have a credit history. Is that surprising to you?
Well, it sounds sort of like the bad old days, but that's not what this is about. This is actually a government-backed initiative, and it's trying to get people who've been shut out of the credit system get into the system. And how are they going to do that? They're going to expand the things they look at to determine your credit worthiness. So do you pay your bills on time? What's your account balance? And, you know, this is really important because there are certainly people in lower income communities, people of color, and younger people who have essentially not been able to get credit. So I think this is a good program. It's a good step forward to get more people in the pool.
What do you think people should know before they open up a credit card? I remember I got my first one in college. It just came to me. Yeah. And I was very excited. I felt so grown up.
Yes.
Then I got into trouble.
That's
not so good. Not so good.
And
what do you think people should know?
This is the warning story. Of course, we know credit can be dangerous. So before you sign up for anything, we are talking about understanding the rules, the fees, the penalties, the interest rate. And one thing that's really important about credit and credit history is a big component of your credit history is, do you pay your bills on time? So I suggest that people set up automatic payments before they start this process, so they never miss a payment. There's never a late fee. There's no nasty surprise.
When we talk about establishing a credit history, explain to people what that means.
Well, what is really happening is a bank or a lender is trying to say, hey, is Anthony a good risk? Should we extend money to him, and will he pay it back? The way you establish a credit history is that you have to actually get credit. And this is really weird because people say, well, I can't have a history because I can't have credit. Again, that's why these programs are important.
It does seem like a catch-22.
It's true. But why is this so important? Because credit is an important component of your personal financial management. You're going to need to borrow money at some point, maybe for a car, maybe for a house. And without a credit history, that may actually shut you out of those markets. It may force you to pay more in interest. So we want people to have credit. We want them to use it responsibly. That's really important.
So, Jill, for the 53 million Americans or so who are credit invisible, where could they look for resources to learn about all those things? You know, when your bill closes is different from your payment date, your minimum payment versus what's actually due. There's so many things that are just confusing.
I think that one of the great developments is seeing the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau really amp up their website. So I think it's consumerfinance.gov, CFPB. They've got a lot of resources there, a lot of tools. But really, this is on you to some extent because banks are going to give you this money. You've got to learn how to use it responsibly.
Now, we're hearing that mortgage refinancing just got easier for some of the low-income buyers. So how much money are you talking about there? How important is this?
This is a great program. So Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac have two different programs. Those are the government-sponsored entities. 7 million people refinanced last year. Wow. But the government says...
I'm one of them.
The government says 2 million couldn't. Why? They lost hours, they lost income, they lost jobs, they were furloughed. This program is going to expand eligibility, again, looking at other metrics. And this should help a lot of borrowers save $100 to $250 a month. So these are homeowners who were not able to refinance. It is still a great time to refinance. You may qualify, so you really should check that out.
Quickly, Jill, Wells Fargo reportedly is planning to shut down all existing personal lines of credit. This is a big bank. That's a lot of people. What's the impact of that?
Well, I think the most important thing to remember is that a line of credit is an unsecured credit, meaning that you don't have collateral. There's no house or car behind it. For people who have these lines, there's not as many as you might think. Most people do turn to credit cards and home equity lines. If you have outstanding credit with Wells Fargo, you're a customer, they're going to allow you to pay that back over time.
Right.
If you don't, they're shutting that line down in 60 days. You may want to shop for. I think they just want to get out of the business. It's not a big enough part of the business. And I think that you should shop around for other alternatives. Remember, there are other banks. Community banks are great. Credit unions are great. They often offer really good rates.
All right, Jill Schlesinger. Thank you, Jill.
Great
Good to see you in person.
Good to
Yes,
see
indeed.
you.